The Initiates of the Flame by Manly P. Hall. Chapter 3. The Mystery of the Alchemist. There are very few occult students today who have not heard of the alchemist, but there are very few who know anything about the strange men who lived during the Middle Ages and concealed under chemical symbolism the history of the soul. At a time when to express a religious thought was to court annihilation at the stake or the wheel, they labored silently in underground caves and cellars to learn the mysteries of nature, which the religious opinions of their day denied them the privilege of doing. Let us picture the alchemist of old, deep in the study of natural lore. We find him among the test tubes and retorts of his hidden laboratory. Around him are massive tomes and books by ancient writers. He is a student of nature's mystery, and he has devoted years, maybe lives, to the work that he loves. His hair has long since grayed with age. By the light of his little lamp, he reads slowly and with difficulty the strange symbols on the pages before him. Illustrated on the left, the Philosopher's Stone. This is the true stone of the philosopher, which gives him power over all created things. This stone is himself. The experiences of his evolution have cut and polished the rough stone until in the initiate it reflects the light of creation from 1,000 different facets. His mind is centered upon one thing, and that is finding of the Philosopher's Stone. With all the chemicals at his command, their various combinations thoroughly understood, he is laboring with his furnace and his burners to make of the base metals the philosopher's gold. At last, he finds the key, and he gives to the world the secret of the philosopher's gold and the immortal stone. Salt, sulfur, and mercury are the answer to his problems. From them, he makes the philosopher's stone. From them, he extracts the elixir of life. With the power that they give him, he transmutes the base metals into gold. The world laughs at him, but he goes on in silence, really doing the things the world believes is impossible. After many years of labor, he takes his little lamp and silently slips away into the great unknown. No one knows what he has done or the discoveries that he has made, but he, with his little lamp, still explores the mysteries of the universe. As the close of the 15th century clouded him with mystery, so the dawn of the 20th century is crowning him with the glory of his just reward, for the world is beginning to realize the truths he knew, and to marvel at the understanding which his years of labor had earned for him. Man has been an alchemist from the time when the first raised himself, and with the powers long latent pronounced himself as human. Experiences are the chemicals of life which the philosopher is experimenting with. Nature is the great book whose secrets he seeks to understand through her own wondrous symbolism. His own spiritual flame is the lamp by which he reads, and without this, the printed pages mean nothing to him. His own body is the furnace in which he prepares the philosopher's stone. His senses and organs are the test tubes. An incentive is the flame from the burner. Salt, sulfur, and mercury are the chemicals of his craft. According to the ancient philosophers, salt was of the earth, earthy. Sulfur was fire, which was spirit, while mercury was nothing, only a messenger like the winged Hermes of the Greeks. And his color is purple, which is the blending of the red and the blue of the spirit and the red of the body. The alchemist realizes that he himself is the philosopher's stone, and that this stone is made diamond-like when the salt and the sulfur, or the spirit and the body, are united through Mercury, the link of mind. Man is the incarnated principle of mind, as animal is of emotion. He stands with one foot on the heavens and the other on the earth. His higher being is lifted to the celestial spheres, but the lower man ties him to matter. Now, the philosopher building his sacred stone is doing so by harmonizing his spirit and his body. The result is the philosopher's stone. The hard knocks of life chip at it away and facet it until it reflects lights from a million different angles. The elixir of life is once again the spirit fire, or rather the fuel which nourishes that fire. And the turning of the base metal into gold is accomplished when he transmutes the lower man into spiritual gold. This he does by study and love. Thus he is building within himself the lost panacea for the world's woe. The turning of the same base metal into gold can be called a literal fact, as the same chemical combination which spiritually produces gold will also do this physically. It is a known fact that many of the ancient alchemists really did create the precious metal out of lead, alloy, etc. But it was upon the principle that all things contain some part of everything else. In other words, every grain of sand or drop of water has in some proportion every element of the universe therein. Therefore, the alchemist did not try to make something from nothing, but rather to extract and to build that which already was. And this, the student knows, is the only possible course of procedure. Man can create nothing from nothing, but he does contain within, in potential energy, all things, and like the alchemist with his metals, he is simply working with that which he already has. The living philosopher's stone is a very beautiful thing. Indeed, like the fire opal, it shines with a million different lights, changing with the mood of the wearer. The transmuting process whereby the spiritual fire passes through the furnace of purification radiates from the body as the soul body of gold and blue is a very beautiful one. Illustrated on the left, the 5-pointed star. This picture is known to all Masons. It is that of the soul. It is the Star of Bethlehem, which heralds the coming of the Christ within. The two clasped hands are the spirit and the body united in the marriage of the Lamb. It is from the union of the higher with the lower that the Christ is born. The Masons have among their symbols that of the 5-pointed star with the two clasped hands within it. And in that we have the mystery of the philosopher's stone. The clasped hands represent the united man in which the higher and the lower are working for their mutual betterment by a cooperative rather than a competitive system. The 5-pointed star is the soul body born of this cooperation. It is the living philosopher's stone, more precious than all jewels of earth. From it pour the rivers of life spoken of in the Bible. It is the star of the morning that heralds the dawn of mastery, and is the reward that comes to those who follow in the footsteps of the ancient alchemists. Illustrated to the left, the marriage of the sun and the moon. This takes place in man when the heart and the mind are joined in eternal union. It occurs when the positive and negative poles within are united, and from that union is made the philosopher's stone. It is well for the student to realize that the alchemy of life produces in natural sequence all of the states of progression which are explained in the writings of the alchemist, until finally the sun and the moon are united as described in the Hermetic marriage, which is, in truth, the marriage of the body and the spirit for the mutual development of each other. We are the alchemist who centuries ago carried on in secret our studies of the soul, and we still have the same opportunity that we had then, even more than then, for now we can state our opinions with little danger of personal injury. The modern alchemist thus has an opportunity that his ancient brother never had. On a busy street corner, he daily sees nature's experiments carried on. He sees the mixing of metals, and from everyday book of life, through the power of analogy, he may study divinity. Through experiences and often suffering, the steel of his spirit is tempered by the flame of life. As the moon in the zodiac touches off, like a fuse, the happenings of life, so his own desires and wishes touch off the powers of his soul, and the experiences may be transmuted into soul qualities when he has developed the eye which enables him to read the simplest of all books, everyday life. Illustrated to the left, the pillars of the temple. These pillars symbolize the heart and the mind, the positive and the negative poles of life. Those who would enter the temple must pass between these pillars. Every extreme is dangerous. It is the point between all poles that is safe to stand upon. You cannot enter the temple by the development of either the heart or mind alone, but only by the equal development of both. The alchemist of today is not hidden in caves and cellars, studying alone. But as he goes on with his work, it is seen that walls are built around him. And while he is in the world, like the master of old, he is not of it. As he goes further in his work, the light of other people's advice and outside help grows weaker and weaker, until finally he stands alone in the darkness, and then comes the time that he must use his own lamp, and various experiments which he has carried on must be his guide. He must take the elixir of life which he has developed, and with it fill the lamp of his spiritual consciousness, and holding that above his head, walk into the great unknown, where, if he has been good and faithful, he will learn of alchemy, the alchemy of divinity, where now test tubes and bottles are his implements. Then worlds and globes he will study, and as a silent watcher will learn from that divine one, who is the great alchemist of all the universe, the greatest alchemy of all, the creation of life, the maintenance of form, and the building of worlds. End of chapter 2.